I'm an avid traveler, CEO of BudoVideos.com, and lifelong student of the martial arts, who strives to know more about the competitors and instructors who are revolutionizing the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. Join me in my journey as I train, learn, and get rolled up. It's not uneasy to get hooked into a debate contrasting the merits of old school versus new school jiu-jitsu, but for world-class professor Vinicius Draculino Magalhães, there's only the classroom. His is a syllabus that transcends traditional and modern philosophies, and the significance of a Draculino education is impossible to rebuke. Having graduated close to 200 pupils to the rank of black belt, taking roll of his student roster is to read from a veritable dean's list of the sport's Ivy League. Coach to progeny the likes of Romulo Barral, Samuel Braga, and Brandon Mullins, this one-time lawyer turned BJJ academic from Belo Horizonte, Brazil, has since set up shop and schoolhouse in the crowded yet convivial city of Houston, Texas.
Yeah, training with Draculino, it's a great experience. He's very charismatic. He's very technical. He's a great motivator. What I learned from him is his technical ability, his ability to describe detail and really show the fluidity of the moves, and also his approach to how he teaches jiu-jitsu.
Professor Draculino is, to me, my favorite teacher of all time, and I really honestly say that. I've had some excellent teachers throughout my years, but he just brings something very unique. His passion, his professionalism, his humility is incredible, and it just sets the bar so high for everyone that trains with him on a daily basis.
You learn so much from Professor Draculino. Well, I've learned so much from him. Not only is he a great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor, but he's more importantly a great human being. He treats everybody with great respect. He's the type of person, if he sees you on the street, he'll give the shirt to you off his back. He's taught me how to be a better person. I could say that, definitely. You expect people from other countries to have a lot of, have nice people, of course, as well. But when you meet Draculino, you're thinking, man, this guy, he's a great jiu-jitsu guy, but he's small. And then when you get with him on the mat, he murders everybody. So it's very surprising how nice he was. The way he takes care of his family and his students is unbelievable. I've never met another coach like him.
I hope my future is to help my dad's legacy to keep growing and help the Gracie Barra family grow. What I have learned from my dad is probably respect, because when I was little I was kind of stubborn and I didn't really like to listen, but he always kept me in lines, especially in jiu-jitsu.
There you are. Good back, man.
After an early morning Cardinal training session, it's time to hit the streets of Houston and learn more about Space City. So Draculino, tell me a little bit about Houston.
Houston is the fourth biggest city in America. And I still don't get used to the size of that place, I'm telling you now. To go north and south, it's almost 2 hours, and east and west is kind of the same. It's like huge. The place that you are here right now, it's called the Clear Lake area, or also called the Bay Area of Houston. It's actually really close to the sea here. It's a funny fact, a lot of people say, oh, you're in Texas, man, like it's a desert there, huh, with the cowboys and stuff. This is far to be true here in that area. There's nothing to do with that.
What do you like the most about Houston, and what do you like the least?
What I like most about here, it's the people. I mean, people here are super nice. I didn't expect at all. They are like very, very friendly and welcoming. You know, they say like the South, the people are kind of more warm. I heard about that, you know, but man, it's totally true here. And also, I had to say, also, it's a very organized city, and people, and the services, even on the services, people are really polite in here. People is like, good morning, and good to see you, have a great day. Everybody, you know, even if you don't know the person, if you walk in on the street here, you know, for people who are from New York or LA, the people from crazy places, you know, like Sao Paulo and even Rio, then, you know, people are so stressed and stuff here. Everybody, hey, how you doing? Good morning, you know, I like that a lot. It's a huge city, but I like that a lot. And maybe what I like least here, man, I would say the weather, bro. Like right now, it's pretty nice. You know, you guys came in a great time because it's winter. I mean, right now it's like 59, just perfect. But man, let me tell you, on the summer here, it's awful. Man, I come from Rio. Rio is pretty hot, but here it's like super hot and humid. The humidity here is among us. So it's like being on a sauna all the time. So you don't see anybody on the street. Nobody can stay on the street. It's impossible. You know, it's like a sauna. So that may be what I don't like.
So Draculino, what do you want to show today?
I was thinking about showing some things that are a little bit out of the box from half guard. Half guard is like, you know, half guard, everybody does half guard. Everybody has a lot of problems on half guard. A lot of people get stuck on half guard. So instead of showing passes, why not show a couple of submissions and ways not to actually pass, but get the back from there. I think it should be something really cool. Actually, one is going to be from the deep half guard, which is like, you know, something that is like in fashion nowadays. So that's what I'm planning to do here.
Okay, let's take a look.
Good. All right, first one. Let me get inside your half guard here, Jake. First one's going to be old school move. Whenever you're like really inside the half guard, right, like here, and you get stuck in there. Somebody has a really strong legs and you get stuck. You know, that's a very, very common thing to happen. All right. A lot of people want and like the idea of pinning a guy and cross-facing him and try to pass and do stuff from here. But the truth is that people are getting better and better on hiding their head, which is something like, I mean, that's a very good thing to do. You know, so let's say Jake is like, I can't do the cross-face here. That's super common. And more, Jake has the underhook here, which is like something really cool. You know, if I had the underhook here, okay, I can pin him all day long, but it's not the case there. So I'm going to show a Kimura from here that is like a very, very old school, but I think we call in Brazil, jump off the cat is going to be a detail that I want to share with you guys. Okay, Jake's here. I cannot cross-face him. I'm going to put my weight down on the ground towards the floor, because the more Jake gets sideways, the best will be for me. Okay, now place that elbow on the mat here. You're going to have your armpit close to his neck for now. Okay, and now your other hand, you're going to come and you're going to bring towards you, leaning the weight more towards Jake's head. Naturally, what's going to happen is that this arm is going to come up a little bit. And then you're going to do a move that you're going to lock his elbow right here. When you lock his elbow right here, in reality, what you want is just to create a little bit of space between his rib and his elbow. If it's like that, I may have some problem. So I shift the weight to distract him, and then boom, I bring that here. I just need a little bit, not a lot. When I bring it here, I'm going to let my forearm close in a way that try to put your elbow in now, Jake. It's locked. You see, so here, I make sure that that space is going to be there. Now, guys, what I said. The whole idea of the Kimura here is going to be controlling his triceps, not his shoulder. Okay? So I'm going to post on the mat and I'm going to switch my hip real quick to the inside and I'm going to lock completely his triceps. Again, not his shoulder. So I switch completely like that and now I'm completely locking his arm. I still have here and I still have the other. Now, from here, lift a little bit. I have to make sure I have a good weight distribution here. That's why I don't like to lock on a triangle here for now. I like to have this back leg kind of free to move back if I need to. Okay? So I lift and now look, I control the triceps. I'm not controlling here. Boom, I control the triceps. Try to put your arm back, Jake. Look, it's completely locked. Now it's just a little transition. 1, 2, and I get it. When I get here, guys, it's a matter of time. Okay? So notice that this is going to be the area from here below that I'm focusing. A lot of people lose the Kimura here, number one, because they like to hold here. This is totally different. Look at the space that he has. You know, he can close, he can stretch really easy, you know, exactly. But once you go here, look at the control. Try to take it out. Look, it's a very tight one. It actually hurts already here. After I get there, okay. A lot of people think, oh, squeeze, oh, go. It's not actually quite what you want to do. Before you think about submission here, what you want is always think about hiding his wrist on his back. If you think about that, you're going to have a perfect angle. Don't think about submitting him. Don't think about going there, no. So hide his wrist on his back. So first you go up, hide. Look, here, his hand is on the floor. It's towards his back. Even for him to grab stuff is hard. Now, drive your head forward. When you drive your head forward, that leg that was like actually helping on the weight, go in front of his face. So, head forward, boom, step the leg. Now you bring him and you lock your legs together. When you lock your legs together here, look, you kill his defense and then you, whoops, finish him. Okay? So like I said, it's really old school, but old school is the best school. Okay, if you do it the right way. So one more time, this is the situation. Jake is doing the right thing, guys, don't get me wrong. I will do the same, even though I know the risks. You know, I will be sideways, I will hide my head. I don't want him pinning me. Okay, so shift the weight down, okay? Stay like a little pressure here on the head just to distract him. Naturally, the elbow goes up. I'm gonna go, boom, and control. Now, 1, 2, control. Turn into him, look. Hold, and you do the transition. When you do the transition, you hold. What's next? Sweeping, submitting, no, hiding the wrist on the back. Up, hide. Look, what's the regular instinct? Sit up. A lot of them sit up, right? But I want to have that leg. I think it's more, it's safer. So head first. Head, step during the roll. Now that leg going down, it gets pretty easy to lock here. So we're going to lock leg, neck, and head. How can he defend here? I know one way, just toughness. Technical way, there's no. I just, boom, finish him there. Got the idea?
Yeah, that's good. Because if you have it locked up, it seems like sometimes if I sit up, I might be able to.
You may be able to figure it out, but to escape sometimes. And a lot of people keep squeezing when you are on top of my side control. I don't like that idea. Because then it's going to be a power move. I may submit you. But with that leg, the idea is going to be 2 legs, 2 arms against 1.
Right.
Helio Gracie right there, baby. Leverage. The weak beat the strong, you know?
Right. Next stop on our trek through H-Town is the famous Kemah Boardwalk. Here, I'm promised a better perspective of the Gulf of Mexico, as well as Draculino's BJJ education and business frame of mind.
So Draculino, it's kind of unusual for a guy to be as educated as you are, professionally teaching jiu-jitsu, but you got your law degree, right?
Yes, got my law degree at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, called UFRJ. It's a very tough school. I made it there.
It's a public school in Brazil, so it's very hard to get into it. And I did a good course, and I worked a little bit as a lawyer, but, you know, I mean, my true passion was always jiu-jitsu, so I decided that sometimes do what you love is better than do something that you may make more money, but I wouldn't be happy as I am right now. So.
Did your parents think you were crazy for giving up law to do
Not
jiu-jitsu?
at all, man. My parents are the best. My parents gave me all the support in the world.
Do you think it's possible for people to make a living in the jiu-jitsu world?
Yes, definitely. You just have to know what you're doing. You have to be professional. You have to teach jiu-jitsu as it was your regular business or your job. You know, a lot of people make a confusion between hobby and a business. The hobby is one thing, business is another. Is that possible to work off what you love? Yes, that's what I do. But you know, you got to be really disciplined. You have to go, you have to do what you need to do, you have to stay extra hours, you have to be on time, you have to be your first smile on the face with your students all the time. You have to teach not when you feel like it, you have to teach all the time and doing your best in all your classes. And a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people think that it's kind of going, you know, to hang out with your buddies and train, you know, and teach what he wants, when he wants, and that doesn't work like that. So that's why a lot of people complain. And I think because they don't work hard enough, that's what I think. But it's possible, yes.
Has Gracie Barra been a good organization for you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, we made a huge step organization-wise, you know, I mean, we were like really a strong team and tough on the mats with a lot of champions and all that, but there wasn't a very business sense of organization and how to run a business, or how to teach people to run a business on all these little details. So they put their mind on that for the last maybe 7 years, and they really did a good job and it helped everybody. So a lot of people live, like you said, in jiu-jitsu now because of that. We know that a lot of people, you know, tend to miss that little group that used to be, you know, seated in Rio de Janeiro and Belo Horizonte talking about jiu-jitsu and living jiu-jitsu all the time. That's great, but the thing is that things evolve. So you have to try to keep that philosophical mentality, but at the same time adapt the new business models that had to be in place. So that's what I think. Okay, another thing that people do, but a lot of people don't see in the very individual situations is the choke, okay? And I think the whole idea for the choke on half guard is that you have to also think a little bit outside of the box, that you cannot be too tight, you know? If you're being tight, like kind of holding the guy or trying to flat him out, you're not gonna have a lot of options. I mean, I know we have Ezekiel, reverse Ezekiel, I understand that. But I mean, we have a couple other chokes that you're gonna go and you're gonna be distant from the guy. That's what you're gonna show right now. Okay? So, let me get on the half guard right. So, kind of the same situation happened. Look, Jake is like hiding his head. It's very good. And now, look at his hand. Okay? He has one hand here already underneath. Okay? What a lot of people will do, and I'm not trying to say that's wrong, okay? They're gonna try to, of course, spread their leg and somehow adjust the position here somehow. But now, what I'm gonna do is that I want space, like I said. So, you're gonna sit backwards as you're gonna get the mount position. And a very important thing for now is that you don't want to get distance between one leg and the other. So, hands on the mat first, and then lock your legs together, or at least keep them really close. When you sit back, the problem here is that he can still come and get really close, right? So what you want to do is that before you sit back, look, you create a bar. Keep your elbow in, and when you sit back, and you keep that distance right here. So you're going to be heavy with your hip down, but you're going to get that precious distance that you want right there. At least for a little bit. You don't want all the time, but for a little bit you want that. Okay? And there's not a lot of things that he can do here. Okay? That hand, if I feel that he wants to recover the guard, that hand can come right there, look, and block it. I'm going to control the shoulder, the hip, and I can block it. Some people like to hold like that, but that free hand always can block it if that's the case. But let me tell you, most of the people will try to stick to the game and be installing here. All right, so when I get that space, I'm going to use my hand, and I'm going to use the grip kind of palm down. It's a little more effective. And I'm going to begin to open the lapel. I open the lapel, and again, what they expect me to open and try somehow, right, to do this. Okay? But in reality, what I want to do is that I want to offer it as high as I can. He will now, when I offer, get a little close. Then I'm going to offer now to the other hand. Okay, he's really close. Now, I may be in a way that he can sweep me. And it's very hard for me now to work the wizard here. But I don't want the wizard. What I want is my shoulder kind of for his chest. So I'm going to disattach myself a little bit real quick. When I disattach myself, my shoulder go in, and I offer right here. Even if it's sideways, stay sideways, doesn't matter. I'm going to offer right there. Now when I offer the lapel, boom, I hold him right there. Okay, this hand is right here. People say, oh, he can get your back. Try to get my back. He can't because of that control. Okay, so I just have to shift my weight a little bit here. And the good thing about that, once I have that grip here, there is no defense. I gotta look. I'm really, really blocking the defense. Second hand goes on the same lapel, 5 fingers, elbow in. My elbow has to go all the way to the inside. How do I squeeze? Not putting the elbow down, but placing the elbow to his chest and shifting the weight. And I have a really super tight choke. Okay, and the guy who likes to stalls more here is the guy who pays the price more. You know? So one more time. There's a bunch of details. Just one more time real quick. Put his here nice and tight. Okay, what's the first thing here? Okay, legs together. Bar, distance. Hand, and open. Open the lapel. Offer to this hand. You don't need to do this. It's not necessary. Just need to hold somehow. He's going to sit up because he sees. So shoulder, look, drive your shoulder down. Almost your elbow on the floor. And then I have that. He tries to get my back. He can't because I'm bringing him here. 1, 2. When I got here, don't try to do this. It's a rough move. You try to place your elbow on his chest. And then, boom. You go from there.
Super tight.
It is, huh? Yeah. This is good for the guys who really want to stall. And you see that in competition nowadays, a lot of people are expert or scoring points, and the people say about 50-50, but half guard is as bad.
Right.
Like on people stalling there, you know, people steal, and some people actually stay, and they wait for the last 30 seconds to sweep and win the match. It's horrible, it's ugly, but I mean, it's reality, so, right?
After a grueling day of training and with our belly buttons gnawing at our backbones, it's time to visit T-Bone Tom's, a local favorite for true Southern barbecue.
There's a photo in your office of you sitting with Hickson and Marcio and Nino, all those guys. Tell me a little bit about that day and how the training was.
That was awesome, man. I still remember, I thought it was a prank, actually. There's this guy called João Big Head. Big Head because his head is huge. He's a doctor nowadays. And he called me, I still remember, it was a Wednesday night. Say, hey, Drac, what are you doing tomorrow morning? Tomorrow you're going to come to my house because Hickson's coming here to train with us. I said, oh, yeah, Big Head, okay. Because Big Head was like big prankster guy. I said, okay, Big Head, all right. I swear to God, he's coming. And who's going? It's going, Renzo's coming, and Gordo, and Marcio, Soca, Roleta, Nino, all these guys. I said, Big Head, you better not be playing with me. No, it's true, okay. 9 o'clock, yeah. So we went there, got 9 o'clock, and everybody was there, and everybody kind of, man, excited. And then it was 9:15, nothing. And they're like, Big Head, come on. 9:30, nothing. It's like, Big Head, he's gonna kill you. And then people begin to make jokes, kind of, oh, okay, Hickson's coming. He's gonna do that thing on the, and people are like making fun. And then finally he comes in, man, the room, everybody, oh. Everybody shuts up. And then he comes, and hey, very polite as always. Hickson's a great gentleman, great guy. Then Renzo goes and says, they call him Somkehi. Somkehi is like the way the family calls him. It's kind of Hickson upside down. Hey, Somkehi, what's the plan? What do you want to do, you know? And then he goes like, typical Hickson fashion. I don't know, maybe we train a little bit with a few guys, you know? I mean, just roll around a little bit, go, oh, okay, all right, whatever you want to do, you know? Then he gets, and he calls one by one, all of us. And after he tapped one, somebody left, and another one came, fresh, and he tapped
everybody, everyone. And it was so impressive that he tapped us but let us train too. It wasn't like he just killed us and smashed us and hurt us and choked us in the mouth. No, he was really, really in a way that he trained and we trained too. So a couple of us did some stuff for him. Of course he was not going 100%. He was just training and let you train. But at the end, always a checkmate. At the end, he always got all of us. And man, it was amazing because I was like, on that day I learned a lot on how to train properly, you know. I mean, it's not smart for you to train all the time just to kill the guy or don't let the guy even do one advantage for you. You're not going to learn if you do that. And the best in the world doing like that, I say, you know, man, it may be a good way, you know. So it was a great experience. We took a picture after, and this picture is all over the internet now. I'm glad that it is because I never had a copy. You know? That was awesome. It was a good time.
When you look at and see all those talented guys in one room, it makes me wonder, what was it about the culture that developed all those amazingly talented guys in such a small part of Brazil?
Man, that's actually funny. I'm actually thinking about writing a book about that. Such a small cultural movement going on that now spread all over the world. You know, people talk like us, people dress like us. It's amazing, you know. But I think what brought us together was like love for the art, love for the lifestyle, and love for each other. You know, we had a really tight group back then, and man, there was no money involved, there was no ego involved. Nobody knew who we were, you know, except a couple people from Rio. I mean, nobody knew what jiu-jitsu was pretty much outside Rio. I mean, so, anyways, we were living the lifestyle there because we just loved it, you know. It was something that happened. I think what's happening today is because the love that he carried, and we still carry, you know. It was not because of any other reason than the love for the art and for the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Jiu-jitsu's changed a lot as far as there's a lot of businesses involved in jiu-jitsu. The federation is huge. There's world tournaments outside of Brazil now. A lot of people are bouncing around, changing affiliations, which brings me to my question. First of all, what does Creonte mean?
Creonte is a creation of Carson. Grandmaster Carson Gracie passed away. Great guy, I mean, I'm a big fan of him. Creonte was there was a soap opera in Brazil. And the soap opera, there was this guy called Creonte. And this guy was like a really like a snake, you know, a guy who would betray everybody, a guy who would not be loyal to anything. And then everybody who was leaving Carson's team, Carson would say, oh man, that Creonte, that way he said. And because of him saying that, everybody began to do, you know, Creonte. So Creonte turned to be the guy who leaves his team or family without a valid reason just because, and this is the Creonte. Back then, it was a big deal, man. I mean, if you leave your team to go to somebody else, people would like, man, how can you do that? Nowadays, I mean, it's kind of normal. But I'm old school, you know, as you know. I'm a little older and I'm old school too. I think that you should be loyal to your flag, and for you to leave your flag has to be something extremely grave and hard for you to leave. Not just because of the reason that people say nowadays. Sometimes I read interviews, man, it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. Oh, I laugh because of like silly things, you know. I have to think that they just think about themselves. They don't have any group or any family-oriented idea. And they cannot blame their students when they leave them. Because if they blame, they're going to say, well, I'm doing exactly what you do. Why are you complaining? And they have to shut up. You know, nobody can say that about me.
Now, to play devil's advocate, some people might say, I'm paying you for a service, and if I decide I want to pay somebody else, I can. It's totally my right as a consumer.
Totally true. And when we talk about Creonte, you talk about people who doesn't pay the scholarships. And you know what? It's funny. The guy who pays almost never leaves you. The guy who doesn't pay leaves you. The guy who doesn't pay, the guy who brings you more troubles, the guy who creates gossip, creates drama. He thinks he's better than you. He thinks you don't think right. So the Creonte thing comes from the guy who doesn't pay.
Makes sense.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's what you see, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know. There's a lot of ways also. We talk about submissions from there, and of course passing is what people think most, but getting the back from there is really cool too. And we're going to be talking about like super modern game, which is deep half guard. The deep half guard is like very intelligent game if you ask me. If you ask me, the deep half guard, the concept of the deep half guard is going to be the whole body against one leg, if you think about it. The guy's going to be like a little monkey on the tree. You know, he has two legs, the whole body, and sometimes even two arms, and they hold it together, kind of like going like a windshield wiper. Man, it's tough. That's why like big people, sometimes the fat people, they do this move and you can't stop it. You break your leg if you try to stop, you know what I mean? And I have a good one here that I want to share with you guys. It's part of this new, how can I say?
New school?
New school, yeah, the new school. I mean, old school is the best school, but new school has a couple of things that are cool too. It's kind of like these acrobatic moves. But anyway, so we're going to be here, and Jake's going to be like classical deep half guard control right there. As you guys know, I mean, if I don't do something about it, I'm going to fall. He's going to get on top of me or get my back or, you know, do a lot of things. So the first idea is always to block his move a little bit. Okay? So what I'm going to do is that very important to use that hand in a way that's going to be helping you and having a good base. Him controlling that arm is bad news. I don't like that too. So I want to make sure that at the same time you do that, you hide in that arm right here. Okay? And then you're going to grab his knee and you're going to push his knee down. So push his knee down like that. Very important to be, again, kind of going with the flow to make sure that you're not falling easy. Okay? Now the move comes. When I put these knees together, I'm going to switch my grip. When I switch my grip, I'm going to go 1, 2. When I go here, I can go to the hip area. Some people like to grab on the belt. The whole idea is to help you on the move that you guys are going to see. And now I'm going to sit back. I'm going to do something that is going to be almost like a little trap that Jake's going to think that he's going to get on top of me. So that leg here does a big deal. I'm going to sit back. When I sit back, I bring him towards me. When I bring him towards me, I pull, and I'm going to guide him that way. Look, so it's a big deal what you do with the other leg right there. The other leg is very important. I'm going to fall here. A lot of people here, there's different ways to react. When you go, some people kind of stay in the same place. So I sit up, and then I switch really quick. 1, 2, boom, and I go to the back. If the guy's like kind of more seated, completely seated, good thing is that when I have that control with the elbow, it's hard for him to put his head up or something like that. And then like on this meantime, I can also, boom, get his back. And also I have, you know, boom, that thing right here that I'm not going to be talking too much about. And I'm not talking about the position. Okay? So anyways, from the deep half guard to the back. Let's go a little faster now. So here's Jake. Control, boom, 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 push, 1, 2, hold, drive, aim. This is important. Look, from here to there. Always important to use your hip to look for him. If it's kind of more like that, it's actually easier because the transition from this to that is pretty smooth. If it's more seated like that, you gotta kind of like use that other leg to shift your weight a little more and then go here. But anyways, it's a move that you get the back really well.
Let me ask you about training. Marcelo Garcia told me that he taps a lot in training, but not in competition. How about you?
Same as me. I mean, I actually never tapped in competition. I passed out on time because I didn't want to tap. I was stubborn. But at the school, I tap. I mean, if you train, you tap. It's simple. If you train every day, you will tap. Of course, when you get like a little higher level, you tap less than you used to tap before. But you will tap, especially if you are a guy who risks yourself as you want to evolve. Marcelo is one of the best guys nowadays, and I'm pretty sure he taps a lot because he's trying new things. He's getting risks. He's not going to do only what he does best. You know, that's the time to do that in a competition, or an MMA fight, or, you know, you're gonna do your strong points. But he's right, and he's doing the right thing. You have to tap. If you're not tapping, you're not evolving, if I would say. It's true, you know.
One thing that I really admire about you, whenever we've talked, you've talked about how proud you are of your old school roots, yet you keep up to date with competition and what the newest innovations are and people are doing. So you're very aware of the old school and the new school. Do you think that's an important quality in a teacher?
For sure, man. I mean, I think the beginning of your doom is when you close your eyes to something. When you neglect something like, this stuff is garbage. I don't like that, you know. It can be your personal opinion about something. Okay, I'm not really into that, but I have to keep an open mind to it, because I have to evolve. I have to teach my students to evolve too. Man, I was telling you earlier about the half guard. I used to be the #1 hater of half guard, because I was always a flexible guy, an open guard guy, and hard to pass. The half guard was just a place for me to recover my guard. But because of a ACL replacement that I did, I needed to be a lot on the half guard, and I evolved a lot. And I figured out that, I mean, man, I always taught my students, even though I didn't like it, I always taught them half guard stuff, as I teach them turtle guard stuff, even though I never do turtle guard. You know, I have a bad back. I don't want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be open to teach your students like a big overall game, and then they will get their own individuality there. I mean, as you know, I have like thousands of students, a lot of students. You know, I have students that do spider guard. I have students who do like half guard really good. Well, I have students that really good on takedowns and top game. I have students that do, I have like some crazy kids here, maybe you're gonna see them tonight, they do this 50-50 thing like crazy. Go to the back and foot lock and sweeps and all that. I don't do that kind of stuff, but they do, because we have to share knowledge on that. You know, so I never close my eyes to anything. I always keep my mind open, and my students and other people teach me a lot. All the tournaments, big tournaments, I'm there sitting and watching, you know, all these new kids from other schools, and Gracie Barra guys too, the newer guys doing a lot of stuff, and I keep my eyes on it. I try to analyze and I try to study, you know. I'm a really busy guy, but as much as possible I try to be updated with everything.
You've only been in America for 4 years, but your school in Brazil is well known for developing Romulo, Samuel Braga. What is it about that school that enabled these guys to become who they are?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, technical content is important. Okay, a good coaching, and I think I was always a guy who made people try to be the best that they can be. I always, in a genuine way, I always made people really genuinely do that. But I think the most important thing is dedication, individual dedication. If these guys were not dedicated, they wouldn't make it.
But I think you're being humble. What is it about your teaching and coaching ability that enabled these guys to last so long and to develop so well?
Man, like I said, I think if I put it this way, you're gonna understand. I really genuinely want my students to be better than me. I want them to be better than me. That's my duty. Because if they're not better than me, the art doesn't evolve. And I tell them that their students have to be better than them. That's something that goes a little bit against some of the old school jiu-jitsu thoughts that, you know, the secrets you're not gonna share and all that. I share everything, man. Everything that I know, I teach. I don't care. You know, because I know that if I do this way, people are gonna make what I taught them even better. And then we're gonna see the art evolving like we see nowadays, thank God. Every year it gets tougher and tougher and better, and more moves, and, you know, more technical. That's what I wanna participate on that. You know, a lot of people on my online training program, Draculino BJJtraining.com, a lot of people are like, but you're gonna show a lot of this stuff that, you know, is shared just to us. Some students think, everybody gonna know? So, man, I mean, I have to share this with the world, because if they get better, we'll get better. You know, it's selfish to not share knowledge. You know what I mean? Putting their hands on me, it's you guys every day. They're not gonna put my hands on me and I'm gonna be like looking them as close as I look at you. that's a big difference. But what's the problem? You know, so when you got older, you begin to think about the, how to say, the big picture, and then it gets a little, you know, you get a little less radical.
Brandon Wolverine Mullins is more than just one of Draculino's top students and instructor at Gracie Barra Houston. He's also the most accomplished BJJ competitor in the Lone Star State. With hundreds of wrestling, judo, and jiu-jitsu titles to his credit, this two-time Nogi World Champion is a sterling example of Draculino's philosophy-fusing doctrine in a showcase of this generation's jiu-jitsu.
So Brandon, tell me about your early days in jiu-jitsu.
My first experience with jiu-jitsu was I wrestled when I was in 8th and 9th grade, and when I was in off-season, we had our off-season wrestling coach kind of wheeled in this old TV, put the videotape in. He's like, sit down and shut up, and watch this. We're gonna watch this. And it was the first UFC. It was Horace Gracie was there, beating up Ken Shamrock and all these people. And then we watched it like, oh, that's cool. And then my coach was like, all right, we're gonna do this. And we're like, we have to fight each other. And he's like, no, we're gonna learn jiu-jitsu. And so he taught us submissions and stuff like that. And we would have little submission matches and this kind of thing. And that was really the first time I knew about it. And I didn't get the opportunity to really train until much later on.
And who were your first coaches?
My first coaches were Clay Pittman, Carlos Machado, Paul Thomas, and a guy named James Tickett. Those were the first people that I really had experience with. And then a little bit later, Draculino as well.
And tell me a little bit about your relationship with Draculino and how that developed.
I did judo with a guy, his name was Paul Thomas, and he was actually training, this is in probably 98, I think. He was kind of going back and forth from Houston to Bello to train with Draculino. And so he would tell me oh man, I know this really good guy. His name's Draculino. He's like a little bitty dude. He's always beating me up, and my friend was really big. He goes, you gotta go train with him, or you gotta meet him, or whatever. And so I trained. This was when I was in Houston still for maybe about a year and a half, and then I moved to Lubbock, and I started training with Clay Pittman, who was a black belt from Carlos Machado, and he also knew Draculino. He goes, man, we're gonna have this guy Draculino here for a seminar. And I'm like, oh man, I heard of this guy, so I was really excited. He came down for a seminar, and I think it was either 2000 or 2001 was the first time that I met him. And he was there for the seminar, and we're close to the same size, and I think it was a Nogi seminar, and everyone was all kind of surrounding the mat, and he was like, man, I need a partner to show the technique. And he was kind of looking around. He didn't know me or anything, and he's looking around, and he goes, you, Wolverine. And I was like, what, am I Wolverine? And he kind of just, that's how it started. I was the partner for the seminar, and then he would come back every year. And of course, he's a super cool guy, and great jiu-jitsu, and just a really great person, and it just kind of grew from there.
You're an active competitor, and you're in the smallest weight class. Do you feel like the smaller guys don't get the respect the larger guys do?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I don't think they get the coverage. I think they get the respect. I don't think they get the coverage sometimes in a magazine or in I don't know, just whatever the media for jiu-jitsu. They don't always get the kind of coverage that a bigger guy gets. Maybe that's come from other sports, like heavyweight. It's always about the heavyweight boxer or the big wrestler or whatever. It's never about the little guy. But I think in the community of jiu-jitsu, people who train jiu-jitsu, I think that they know that the little guys have a lot of really great jiu-jitsu, and they know that, man, these guys are always getting smashed. They're going to have a good guard. They're going to be slick. They're going to be tricky. And so I think in the jiu-jitsu community, they get a lot of that respect, but I don't think they always get the coverage. People aren't always maybe watching their matches or whatever. They want to know about Marcelo, he's medium weight. They want to know about Hodger, he's heavyweight. They want to know about the absolute in general, and you don't see a lot of smaller guys competing. If you do see them compete, they don't always do so well because it's they're giving up 50 pounds, 100 pounds, or whatever. So I think in the jiu-jitsu community, they do get the respect, but not always the coverage.
In competition, you're competing against guys your own size, but in the academy, you're probably one of the smallest guys there. Yeah,
I think at my academy and the majority of academies that I've trained at, the only people that have been smaller than me were some of the girls and some of the kids. There's even kids that are bigger than me. Some of the girls are bigger than me, and so it's definitely I kind of tell people that they're never going to know jiu-jitsu like I know jiu-jitsu. Because, I have to do it correct or it doesn't work. Whereas a guy who's even not way bigger than me, but 170 or 180, they can always use the strength or use the size. You know what I mean? Even against really big people, they have more muscle. You know what I mean? And someone like me, a little guy, I've never been over 140 pounds. I'm about 130 pounds right now. And you just have to really, really use the technique. And sometimes I think it's easier for a little guy to learn jiu-jitsu because he doesn't have any other option except the technique. You know, whereas a bigger guy, I think he has to work harder to learn jiu-jitsu because he has explosiveness and he has strength and he has that weight. He can just kind of lay on you, but I can't do that. You know what I mean? Even smaller people, you can't just lay on them. You know what I mean? Because they're going to be size-wise. A lot of times, small people are strong and fast. You know, so even a little guy, I can't use my weight on a little guy because he's, you know, pound for pound, he's really strong. You know, so.
I've heard an argument in favor of big guys saying it's okay for big guys to use their weight and their strength against smaller guys because small guys have their speed and maybe their flexibility. Do you think that's a fair statement?
I think that's fair, but I think too that, you know, depending on how big the weight difference is, like there's people that, you know, if I train with someone who weighs, say like 300 pounds, he could literally hurt me just by, if he like fell wrong, you know, if I had myself in a position and he kind of like lost his balance and fell, like it could really like hurt me, hurt my back or my knee or my elbow or something. And I think that's why you get a lot of people, a lot of smaller guys who don't do the absolute. I don't think they're scared of losing. I think they're scared of getting injured. You know, there's a friend of mine in jiu-jitsu, his name is Joseph Capizzi. I was getting ready to do an absolute division at Pan Am's, and he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, bro, you need to be careful." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" You know? And he's like, "Well, these guys are way bigger." I'm like, "Well, I train with big guys, you know, all the time." And he goes, "Yeah, but this is in training. In training, people, they're not trying to hurt you, you know, but in competition, they don't care. Maybe they're not trying to hurt you, but they don't care if they do. And like their girls are watching, their friends are watching. It's a different story." So I think that it's okay for a big guy to use his size and use his strength, but sometimes I think there's a little bit of, you have to use a little common sense. You know, a guy who weighs 250 shouldn't try to do a flying arm lock on me. He's probably gonna either mess my arm up or land on my knee or something. So I think there's a degree of common sense in there. But sure, I can't complain if a big guy gets in side control and smashes me. I mean, that's jiu-jitsu, it's not ballet, you know.
Brandon is a guy with precious few enthusiasms beyond jiu-jitsu. His devotion to and affinity for the sport have made him a nearly perfect BJJ machine. He was also neighborly enough to give me a tour of his apartment so I could see firsthand how braided his life and his art had come to be.
No shoes on the mat, of course.
No dining room, just mats.
And so we get on here and, you know, I like to do some yoga and do like some kind of some shadow rolling and some movements and stuff. Selection of books here. Of course, this is required reading here, Professor Draculino. Gotta have that. This is where the Gracie diet goes down. This is the Gracie kitchen. Make my acai in here. Some pretty sweet blends I have.
So you eat super healthy.
Yeah, pretty clean. You know, like I cheat a little bit, but what we got? We got like yogurt, some eggs, little coconut water, apples, some grapes in there. This is crucial. Lots of cottage cheese. Like, big fan of cottage cheese and fruit.
I see you have a lot of gis over there.
Lots of gis. I should probably sell those on eBay. I don't wear half of these, but just, you know, you train jiu-jitsu for 12 years. You kind of just accumulate all this stuff. People give them to you. You know, you buy them, whatever. It's my bike. My buddy Seth Belial in Austin hooked it up for me. This is a bathroom. You know, it looks like a normal robe probably, but what you might not know is that it's actually, where's it at here? This is a black belt robe. Okay, home adjustment. That's duct tape, kids. You can do it yourself. Check it out, all right? Black belt adjustments. Pretty normal bathroom here. Got some motivation with, you know, my big time, I guess, rivals. You know what I mean? Got to see them every day. Got to, you know, build up the little animosity. You know, no real hate or anything, but I got to see them every day. So when I see them on the mat, it's no new thing. You know, I know who they are. I'm ready for them. I can visualize them better, and you know, help me get to the top.
So now that we're here on the mats in the dining room, can you show me something cool?
Yeah, definitely. That's why they're here, man. Let's do this. So let's have a seat. basically, I'm a big fan of like fundamental movements. I used to be like the worst student ever. I always wanted to do the fancy stuff and all kinds of flying stuff. And then I realized over time that the fundamentals really are, the most useful thing. And so I'm not only into like fundamental techniques, but also the fundamental movements that make up the techniques. I'm a really big believer in that. So this is just going to be it's a technique, but it's also a movement. It's just going to help us to adjust in side control, usually with a bigger guy, even though we use it on small guys too, when they try to turn into us really hard. Okay? So let's say if you're just down, just for the sake of demonstration and for training, kind of keep your hands up like this, like a good position. And so a lot of times when I get here, a big guy is going to turn into me. Yeah, maybe he wants to underhook and bump and go to a single or a double or just get behind me. So what I'm going to do is when he gets on his side, I'm going to keep my cross face here. I'm going to pop to my feet, kind of like a sprawl position, and I want to open my elbow enough that it makes you uncomfortable, but you can still turn a little bit. So I want to let you turn, and you're turning hard. I'm moving a little bit, and then when you're about to turn your belly, I move my hand and I step here. I'm going to come all the way around with this hand, boom, just like that. And I'm just going to correct the position here. Sometimes you keep turning and I get on the back. That happens as well. So if I were to get here and you were to keep turning, no problem. I just follow you, slide my knee in here, pull you back on, and take the back. Most guys, I guess it's about 50-50 really if you get side control or if you get the back. You know what I mean? Let's see one more time. Just scoot this way a little bit. Just like keep it wall here. So the guy's here, and for like training, I just keep my hands here. I don't really have the guy pummel.
Okay.
And I'm like this, and the guy's turning. So you want to put the pressure on. I'm going to hold the position. I'm going to kind of shuffle a little bit. As I pull this off, my knee needs to go right there. This hand just kind of floats. This hand goes over. It's really important that I put my elbow down. And I step like that, kind of a back step. And then I can just correct into a position here.
And you just repeat this drill, right?
I just repeat it over and over, exactly. I did this when I first started when I really wanted to put this into my game. I did it about, I don't know, probably about 1,500 times in a month. I just kind of kept track of it. And so I went here, you just keep going. Just like that. If you want to see some footage on it, a couple of guys that are really good at it and use it a lot is Jeff Glover, Cobrinha, and also like an old school Gracie Baja guy's name is Soka. And they're all three really good at this. And that's kind of, I saw all of them do it, and I was like, man, if they're doing it, I got to do it.
I saw the Nino Shimbri episode.
You did. Draculino is doing marvelous things at Gracie Barra Houston. Marvelous things not just for his academy, but for the sport at large. After watching the professor in action, talking with his students, and engaging him in like manners, intellectual and physical, his caliber as role model to these young men and women is beyond exemplary. Far removed from his birthplace Brazil, Draculino's gargantuan charm and enormous heart fit him in quite naturally here, deep in the heart of Texas.